Here is Sumo, and he is having his second post-track ride. So I last rode him on Wednesday. Today is Friday. And on Wednesday, when I rode him, it was near 70 degrees and we were sweating our butts off. And today I got on him this morning and it was like 30 degrees and the wind was blowing like 20 miles an hour. So, like, pretty startling difference in weather between our last ride and this ride. But Sumo is just one of those like ultra quiet, amazing brained horses. He's clipped, but he is just settled. He None of this bothers him at all. I didn't lunge him. There's no prep whatsoever that happens before this ride. Literally just took him out to the ring and got on, and he was wonderful. Just immediately right to work. No silliness with this horse. No cold back. Nothing like that. He's just a super steady, dependable type of horse. So I'm really happy with him because, as you would hope on a second ride, he was just much more understanding of the contact. I thought here we're still working on it a little bit, but in a couple of seconds here, he really connects and he gets it really nicely. I changed the bit from I think I had him in a D-ring snaffle the last time. This is the Fager Baby Fulmer. I think I'm saying it right. It's a loose ring that also acts as a full cheek, and actually this one has a little port on it with a roller, and I thought that maybe that would be good for him because he wants to stick out his tongue a little bit. And actually his tongue was so improved. It was like over 50% better than it was during the first ride. So I actually thought that the bit was a huge success. Now, it's not just the bit. It's also partially just that he's feeling more comfortable with the riding because now this is his second ride. So he's just not nervous anymore, which also helps him to want to keep the tongue in. I think the tongue is a little bit of like an anxiety tell. So the bit, having more rides, being more relaxed, all those things really help. Although I'll tell you, the weather was so crazy that it's hard to believe that anybody could be more relaxed with the cold and the wind and all the things. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be this kid because he's just such a good guy. It's pretty rare that I ride sales horses with quarter sheets on because I don't know. I just think that like on a windy day, it could be sort of distracting and or spooky to have a quarter sheet, blowing around behind you. But Sumo is one of those types of horses that you really don't need to worry about it with. And actually, it started slipping towards the end of the ride, and it was literally blowing around like Batman's cape. And I had no idea. Billy had to tell me because Sumo didn't. If Sumo noticed, he did not tell me that he noticed. So his work to the right, I was just absolutely thrilled with. Such a steadier, better connection, and just so much quieter in his mouth. I mean, to me, this horse he really looks settled and confident and happy. Not that he didn't look all those things on the first ride, but I just think it's all so much more improved. And one thing that I really, really like about him, especially given that he's just huge, he's a 17 and a half hand 7-year old. He ran 39 times and he is tall, but he's also very long and very big bodied. And for a slightly older horse, it's not like he's a 3-year old who ran enough, 39 times is a pretty impressive number of races. He is just so light in his mouth and he really wants to make the correct shape. He's not heavy at all. He's super responsive and light on the aids. It's just very pleasant. You don't feel like you have to nag him. There's certainly not a lot of pressure in your hand. You get to put your leg on. And he certainly requires leg, but not in a nagging, exhausting kind of way. He's really just nicely right in the middle. I thought that this right here, that's really, really a nice connection for him. I was really happy with this frame, how he felt, the balance. I liked his tempo. I liked everything about this. So we spent some time today going over polls and things just because I thought he was so good on, in his flat work that, and he's super chill about walking over all this stuff. So I thought there was nothing wrong with starting to trot over some polls and see what he thought about that. He was very happy to march over everything in the walk. In the back of my mind, I was sort of thinking, maybe we'll use the poles to get a canter transition, but even on such a crazy weather day, he's just not really up enough to think that we need to put out enough energy to pick up the canter over the pole, which is totally fine. That's wonderful. He is just very cute and honest about all the things. That was so cute. If he had decided to put out enough effort, he would have landed on his left lead. And actually, that was quite a good left canter transition. He's a big horse, but he's actually really balanced. I was really happy with all of this. I thought he was just fantastic. And also, I just want to note, not a single spook today. Absolutely insane weather. Wind that just makes you absolutely deaf. Billy was trying to talk to me a couple of times from standing here in the middle of the ring, and I couldn't hear him because the wind was just so deafening. You're so cold that you can feel your eyeballs are cold. And the horse literally did not bat an eye at a single thing for this entire ride. Good boy. So here we're going to come over the coop to change directions. And actually, he is so smart, and he picks up his right canter transition over the coop. Such a good boy. And then this right here is quite good. The tongue comes out a little bit more in the canter work than in the trot work. Sort of to be expected because I have the contact really nice and consistent now in the trot work. I feel like I really sort of have a nice soft feeling over his top line, and that was a really cute transition over his ground pole. That was absolutely perfect. But in the canter, especially to the right, because the right is this harder direction, the contact is not quite as through as it is in the trot. And so I think that's why the tongue is coming out a little bit more. Again, I am totally convinced after this ride, though, with how much better it was, that this will completely go away. See here, there's nothing wrong with this, but it's just not quite as soft and connected as I had him in the trot. Here we go. This is a little bit better down this long side. Yeah, those are some better steps. I really liked his transitions today. And then I thought we would just play around over a couple more poles and things before we called it a day. So he's catching on now. He's realizing that actually the poles are a really good way to do a nice canter transition. That was very good. And then this felt really nice in the left canter. What a good boy. Such a cute distance to his cantering his first ground pole. And on the corner, short turn nonetheless. So our quarter sheet is slipping. I didn't realize, but literally like the whole thing is slipping, including the saddle. But we are almost done. What a good boy. He's totally got that across the coop, pick up the right, across the diagonal over the coop, pick up the right lead. He has that down pat. I thought we might come to this in the canter, but I'm not gonna. He told me that he wanted to put in some trot steps before, which is totally fine. So I'm not going to demand that he canter something he's telling me he's not quite ready to do yet. He finds the left a little bit easier, so it's not surprising that he's a little bit more comfortable with starting to canter things on the left lead. And also, that was really cute. Again, really nice left canter transition over the Cavalettis. Just no big deal. He really stays in a nice balance, a nice tempo. And then that was very good. What a good boy. Starting to get the hang of this thing now. And he was awesome. And he's just a total lover on the ground.